Hussain decides during the rule of the second Umayyad caliph to stand in rebellion against Umayyad authority. The second Umayyad caliph was considered to be a sort of a profligate figure, not very religious, and Hussain believed that he had usurped his right. And so Hussain gathered a group of followers, initially leaving from Mecca, gathered a group of people that were his family members, his children, his sons, his cousins, his wives. So it was a band of about 70 people that included a lot of women and children. And he leaves from Mecca, and he sets out to go toward Iraq, where he's going to meet up with some of his father's old supporters. And then they're going to march on the Umayyad capital in Damascus, in Syria. But that never happens. He never gets that far. Traveling north from Mecca to Iraq, he's stopped in this area of Karbala by an army sent by the Umayyads, an army of about 3,000 men who surround the camp of about 70 people, again, with lots of women and children. For a period of 10 days, they hold them under siege. They run out of food, they run out of water, they're desperate, and finally Hussain and the men in his party begin a desperate attempt to defend themselves against this army. One by one, they are killed. And again, they're not just killed, they're killed in a particularly brutal fashion. After they're killed, they're beheaded, they're stripped of all their clothing, they're trampled in the desert, and they're left there. Their heads are taken back, and they're left there in the desert. All the women that were present and the small children are all taken captive. Almost something impossible to imagine just about 50 years after the death of Muhammad, that his grandson, whom he loved so much, could be treated in this way, and his extended family, his granddaughters, his grandnieces, could be treated in this particular way. But this did happen. And this event of Karbala is a tragedy for Sunnis and Shiites alike. If you read Sunni histories, if you read Shiite histories, it is clear that they consider Hussain to have been completely in the right, to have been utterly abused, and that this was a tragedy beyond what anyone could imagine. But for Shiites, it had a special significance and continues to have a special significance because Hussain was not just the grandson of the Prophet. He was someone who Shiites believe had a divine right to rule the Muslim community. And Shiites have a particular devotion to the family of the Prophet above and beyond the devotion that other Muslims might have toward the family of the Prophet. And so this murder of Hussain and his family members becomes the symbol, becomes the epitome of all Shiite suffering, of all Shiite persecution. And once a year, on the anniversary of this, which takes place on the 10th of Muharram, or Ashura, which I mentioned to you is also a traditional fasting day, this event takes place on the 10th of Muharram. That 10th of Muharram, and also the whole month of Muharram, in fact, and the first 10 days of the next month, are a period of intense mourning for Shiites over this particular issue. And they mourn for Hussain, and they mourn for this tragic event, but it also is kind of a point at which all of their suffering coalesces. Hussain is the martyr of martyrs. He's the one who represents persecution itself. All right, so this takes place during the Umayyad period. Now, eventually, the Umayyads make enough people angry, right? Eventually, that's going to happen. That in 750, so a little less than 100 years after they initially come to power, they are overthrown. I should go backwards here. I like being able to go backwards. They are overthrown by a group of people that eventually found what is known as the Abbasid dynasty in the year 750.